All right. Welcome back to another episode of The Nerd Holes. We are continuing our Indiana Jones rewatch series. So, still going in chronological order. Tonight, we are watching Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So, uh, yeah, better than the last one, Will?
Yeah, yeah. I don't dislike Temple of Doom, but in comparison to watching this, I like this a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. This movie is like classic Indiana Jones. So like
Yeah,
when you think of Indy and you think of Harrison Ford, like you just automatically always think of Raiders. I mean that
yeah,
the intro of the movie is probably like one of the best like action adventure movie intro openings like of all times.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it sets the tone of the whole movie, and it kind of has the old black and white movie feel, where it's like it's just all of a sudden you're just in the jungle, and it's like, well, what's happening? Like, why
Yeah.
is this happening? Who are these people? Like, you're getting
You
just thrown into it type of
yeah, I like that. Like you don't need to know
thing.
like specifically.
Right, exactly right.
Most of them don't make it
Yeah.
10 seconds into the movie anyway.
Yeah, no, they really don't. Honestly, the funny thing is too is like I mean, unless I missed it, I don't think they even really explain why he was going after the fertility idol.
Mm-mm.
Like I know he was trying to beat Belloc, but it's like it doesn't. It's not like, oh well, it's really important to the story that he was doing this. Like, no, no.
Yeah, no, they just kind of open right with like that's what he's doing. Who cares?
Right, right, right.
And they even kind of set up quickly like there was somebody before him that was looking for it. And then
Yeah,
right when they get
yeah.
to the spike pit part, like that freshly mummified corpse is like
Oh
he's like,
yeah, the other
"Oh,
guy. Yeah, yeah,
yeah."
yeah.
So, but
Yeah, it is cool too because like they take a while to set up. Like they don't show him immediately. Like it takes a minute to see like Harrison's face. Like it's interesting because like they don't do that on movies like too much now. Like it's a dramatic entrance, but it's usually like you don't see like his hands and his waist and his legs of like a hero. Like you think about when we first saw like Star Lord or something. Like it was a dramatic entrance. He was dancing, but it's like it wasn't like minutes of not seeing his face. It's
yeah, I mean
interesting.
that was honestly it's funny. Like that's the first place I went to was like Star Lord in that scene. And I think he's got his
It's
helmet
very
on
reminiscent of it.
for the most of the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, but I think honestly, like the only difference is like at this time point, like Harrison Ford was a pretty big name,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and at that time period, Chris Pratt was he was up there, but he wasn't like Harrison Ford fame.
Oh, no, not quite. It was pretty close. I mean, I
He was
think
getting
he
there.
had done Jurassic World and stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
but but I mean, I think this is on the heels of Empire Strikes Back. So I
right.
think it's like not only Star Wars, which was only a few years earlier. I think also Empire
Yeah,
Strikes Back, which was just as like ridiculously popular as the original.
yeah, right. And it's Spielberg, and this was like the height of
Right.
Spielberg. So like
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
that was
Everybody was
a
going
pretty
to
big
yeah.
name in cinema at the time too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was like what, like 6 years after Jaws, and that was huge. I mean, he's still making movies, but still just like
hmm,
just the like the iconic movies that were rolling out. Like this was, it's just funny to think like, could you imagine like being like, I guess our parents or whatever, like, oh okay, see this movie Jaws, it was really good. See Star Wars, it was really good, and then like this, and then it's just like these things, all movies like going forward, like use the themes of Jaws and Indiana Jones. Like when they do adventure stuff, they like it's all
hmm,
the same type of camera and the same type of stunts and like interesting like story developments. Like this is it's the same stuff over and over again. It's just it's really
Yeah.
fascinating that like this movie like is the beginning of like modern adventure movies. You know,
Yeah.
because there were
I
old
would.
black and white ones, but they were different.
Yeah. No, as far as like this being like a set piece, like a full set piece, and
Right.
like the tomb, like that. I'm like again that intro with the tomb and the
Yeah.
ball and all this booby traps and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's yeah. It honestly kind of feels like a video game a little bit in a way, right? Like it kind
Hmm.
of feels like you're like you immediately are like, oh yeah, don't step on the like when they show like the ground. I was thinking like, oh yeah, obviously don't step on like the circular parts of the ground. Like that darts are gonna come out. Like it's just
Yeah.
funny.
And you can see like all the little statues in the wall, like have like the
Yeah,
eyes, like like spikes are coming out of
yeah,
there, and
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think so. Obviously, like our time period. Well, I mean, we were kids when Indy came out, but like for our
yeah,
like young adult time period, like our Indiana Jones is essentially like Nathan Drake.
yeah,
And I think that first game pulls a lot from the Indiana Jones like series. Because I think that's kind of the same thing,
yeah,
right? You open up and you're Nathan and you have like no idea like what he's looking for or why he's looking for it. And
yeah. True, true.
he just kind of gets you right into the
I do.
action.
Yeah, the one thing I do think that this movie does even better than Temple, and I think was necessary to still have in Temple to some degree. And I guess maybe the dinner scene kind of did that, but I think it's like it's really fascinating and it's really character building of showing him being at the college.
Oh yeah.
It really like changes his whole character because in the beginning part of the movie, he runs away from the boulder and all that stuff, and then he gets away from the people shooting at him, and he gets on the plane, and he's like, oh, he's a big action hero, and he always gets away, and he's the good guy, and blah blah blah. And then they cut to the college, and it's just like he's a boring professor. Like yes, the I love you girl with the eyeballs is there, but like
Well,
he's no different than any other college professor, really.
most of the students in that classroom were women, obviously, because like they're saying like,
Right.
yeah, he's a good looking teacher, and that's what they're there. They're not there for
Yeah.
history. They could get less about history.
So I
But yeah,
I
it's
think
funny.
this yeah.
It's funny, like since we started with Doom, it's funny
Mhm.
that like that you're thinking about that as like the sequel, and it does the same thing. It like intros with something, action
Yeah.
scene, and then goes right to him teaching and like the
Right.
dean walking into the classroom, like almost
Yeah.
identical like pacing. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. It is. I know what you mean. Yeah. It's it's funny how but that was I guess my point was that I think also that's what made four Uncharted 4 more interesting was
Mm.
that Nathan's was like salvage. Like he was doing something different. You never really felt like
Well,
Nathan wasn't always doing an adventure. You know what I mean?
he finally like settles down and gets married and takes like a mundane
Right.
job that's kind of still treasure hunting, right?
Same.
Reclaiming
Right.
ships is, but yeah.
I think a lot of it is. I mean, it doesn't ruin the games by any stretch of the means, but I do think you would. There's like a special flavor to it by making him like that kind of alter ego thing where it's like by day he's a professor and by night he's a whatever you want to call him. It's like a I think it's an interesting twist because, like in Temple, you don't get it. I mean, he dresses up at the dinner table and he's very refined at that in that
Yeah.
scene. But I just liked him going like he goes in and Brody brings him to the government guys and they sit there and he writes on the chalkboard and he like explains all the stuff about the
Hmm.
Ark and the Bible. It's just like it was really
I really like that. Yeah.
yeah. I just
Makes you
enjoyed that.
feel like he's not just like a treasure hunter. He's like super smart
Exactly.
into like history
Yeah.
and Yeah, I
Like
do.
when
I
he's
really like
figuring
that.
things out in that opening sequence, it's not because like he's just figuring out. It's like a lot of it's education. Like he's actually tried to study these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also he appreciates history, which is which is a little different because like Nathan, he's kind of just a thief in a sense.
Hmm.
It's
Oh,
like he
Nathan.
appreciates history, but he's
Yeah.
not quite the same.
He's the same like book smart, but he's like 100% in it for the money and fame.
Yeah, fortune and glory, right?
Fortune and glory kid, yeah. So that's what's kind of funny too, like watching Doom first is like
Yeah,
in this movie when he's like, I don't believe in any of that, like that fanciful stuff, like nothing like that
yeah,
is, I don't believe in that stuff. It's like, how do you explain like that guy
yeah.
ripping
What?
people's hearts out and those stones glowing and lighting on fire? And
No,
that's just all,
just
no, it's
normal.
just earth minerals. And
Yeah, yeah,
so now watching
yeah.
that movie first, you're like, how does he still, why is he still like, no, the Ark of the Covenant wouldn't have like power from God like that. That
Right,
couldn't be
right,
that
right.
couldn't be possible.
That doesn't make any sense.
That
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
yeah. And I specifically was paying attention to in comparison like Willie to
Hmm.
Marion,
Like
like to
Marion
see how
better.
the two and it's oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that she actually throws a punch and smashes guys with frying pans. And,
She actually does stuff. Yeah.
she she actually does stuff, and yeah, it's
Yeah. Her intro
it's
scene is
cool.
it sets up her character well, showing it like she can hold her liquor. She owns the
Yeah,
bar. That's how she like makes money. She
yeah,
drinks these
yeah,
guys under the table every night
yeah,
in Nepal.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
yeah.
But
And
yeah. So
and the and the yeah, go ahead.
she's the one that comes back in Crystal Skull, right?
And yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think at the end of Crystal Skull they get married.
Mm. Is she on cast for the new
I don't
one, the
think so.
Dial?
I don't
Okay.
know. She might be. I just don't know.
Hmm. Interesting.
You would hope, but I don't think so.
I don't know. So not to go off like on a Crystal Skull topic, but the guy in that movie, that's supposed to be like his partner, but then he's like double crossing, then he double crosses again. And
Yeah.
that's implied that like he's been in like movies, like that you're supposed to know him.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I am don't think he's in any of the movie.
No.
So I
Nope.
almost
Nope.
like
Nope.
this whole time, well, not the whole time, but when I first started watching Raiders today, I was like, is Salah supposed to be the guy from? I was like,
Oh.
no, he's not. And then I had this like, I was like, doesn't he get like, don't they like shoot him when they put Indy in the snake pit? Don't they like kill him? And I'm like, no, that didn't happen either. So I had like all these
Yeah. Yeah.
Mandela memories that
Yeah.
don't actually exist in this
No,
movie.
nothing that happens. Well, too. The thing I was telling Adri too is like that's what's his name from
He's been in a lot.
Lord of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He's whatever his name is, Gimli, I think.
Mm-hmm. And my ex.
Axe
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Wasn't he also
Sliders.
in Sliders? Yes. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
super good in Sliders. He was like the
He
main
was
guy.
great in Sliders. Yeah, I loved him. He's like the professor. Professor Rembrandt, I think is his name.
Mm. Man, that's a show they should bring back. Or we should
I
just
know.
rewatch that show. I remember watching that with mom.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Sliders.
It's a good one. But
Yeah.
the cool thing is that he's back in the new one. Salah's
Is
back in
he?
the new movie.
Okay,
Yep.
that makes me excited.
Yep. I mean, who knows? It could be just a bit cameo, but still, he's in it.
Well, yeah, but still.
Yeah.
That makes me excited.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I really enjoy it, and I think even like the stunt work in this movie is like even
Mm,
more interesting and just more. There's just more of it because like in Temple, the opening sequence is pretty intense, and that's fun. But like, it's pretty much the he fights the guys in the thing, and then it's the minecart ride, and then it's the bridge, and then the movie's over.
Yeah, pretty
There's
much.
not like a lot of not what this is. Like almost every other scene he's
He's
getting into, he's
fighting
somebody.
somebody every.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think the other cool thing that they do really well is you make it. They make you believe that like Indiana has traveled the world. Like he's
Mhm.
gone all over, because like when he shows up in Cairo with Marion, like Salah here is like it's just
Mhm.
like it's not even like, well, let me explain who he is. It's just like, no, it's just friend and he's at his family's house. And there's just other adventures, other things have happened with this guy,
Yeah.
and they do a really good job at like making
Yeah.
you believe that he's been involved with stuff.
Yeah. It's world building done well, you know.
Yeah.
I yeah, so another like Mandela memory that I had was like I could have swore like Hitler made an appearance in this movie.
Mm, that's the next one.
Is it the next one? Okay.
That's Crusade. Yeah, that's Crusade.
Perfect. Okay.
There's a couple
I was like,
scenes in here. Well, they're
they,
Nazis again, so it's kind of hard to like
well,
not
yeah,
mix
it's
it up,
always
right? Yeah, well, at least in these two movies, yeah. But
well, the
yeah,
next
there was a
three
couple
actually.
scenes.
No,
Well, no, Crystal
she's
is KGB.
she's Russian.
It's
Yeah.
Russian people. Yeah, it's the Russians.
Sorry,
I
because
don't, and
her
I think
accent is
in
bad.
Dial, I think it's old Nazis and the new ones. So yeah. Hey, you
Nice.
do what works. You do what works. Um,
Nazis have always been fun to be the bad guys.
Oh yeah, they're foolish, like over the top German accents. They're great, like villain sounding people. Especially what's his name there, whatever the guy. I don't know what the guy's name was.
Oh,
The guy who was like, "Oh, I know you're going to tell me. I know."
he's so over the top, isn't it? Isn't he? He's like,
Yeah,
and he's like really menacing in the beginning of the movie, and then does nothing the rest of the movie. Nothing, nothing. So
right.
here, I gotta try to get a clip because there's a scene, and it makes me wonder like what happened on set. There's a scene right when during the car chase where Indy's in the truck
Okay.
and the other archaeologist guy and that Nazi guy are in the lead car. And they come
Okay.
and they go around the fountain, right? When Indy goes like through the
Oh
house and
yeah.
they hides, they go around the fountain and everybody's in the car. And then when the people in the village they start throwing fruit at the
Oh
car,
yeah.
it is very that guy in the Nazi in the black hat in the front seat, it is very much just a hat sitting on like a dummy. Like there's nobody in the front seat.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody else in the car they're doing this, you know, and it's literally just like it's just a hat and it's just sitting there. I'm like, what the heck? And it was like for some reason like that you shouldn't see it, like you
Wow.
shouldn't focus in on it, but like I immediately focused in on it. I was like, what the heck is that? Like,
Yeah.
what
Well, I
happened?
mean,
Was he
yeah.
like,
Now
I
that you
am
say
not
that,
going to get fruit thrown at me. I am getting out of car. I did a Russian. I
I
don't know why I'm Russian.
that's okay. Yeah, it's funny too because I know what you mean because I paid attention to him too because the driver, right? Because the guys come up and they're throwing, he like pushes one of the guys away, like he shoves
Yeah.
like one of the market people like away. Yeah, it's funny that you say that. I didn't. My attention
It
didn't
was
get
so
drawn to him.
weird. It was so jarring.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's funny. I hope you can find the like India escapes clip. Yeah,
I gotta find it. Yeah,
or at least
I
a
think the
still
reason I
image
was
or
looking for
something.
that too is like because I remember the from Doom, like Willie, when that like centipede is going over her back, it's just very much like a
Oh,
dummy with a
like
wig doing
the thing
this.
moving.
Because like obviously like they're not gonna have
Yeah. Mm-mm.
centipedes crawling through behind her hair.
No,
So yeah, I gotta
watched
find
the
that.
thing. I watched the thing too, like that rolling boulder thing. They said it was like four or five different filming angles, and like the thing
Yeah.
was really heavy and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's really really funny that like I mean, that's him running. It's not CGI. That would.
That's what I was looking for too, honestly, is if I could spot like stunt doubles. So
Oh,
specifically the scene where Harrison's on the horse and he's coming down the hill and he comes like right up to the
oh
truck.
yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure even that was like Harrison Ford doing that.
Wow. I
It
think the
didn't,
only thing
well,
that's
I don't know. There
I
was a
think the only thing
jump
that was
cut,
like
but
legitimately not him is when he's going underneath the truck, like when he's hanging
mhm,
onto the. I don't think
that I
that
can
was
see.
him.
Do you think he swung on the vine into the river?
I think so.
Because that's a
It
back
felt.
back
It
shot.
felt. Yeah, it felt just sloppy enough that how like he doesn't swing beautifully to the plane. He just kind of swings into the water, which
Like,
makes it feel real, right? It makes it feel like he's just trying to get away. Like I don't want to get shot in the back with these things. Yeah.
but here's what I think of too in scenes like that is because like, you and I just did our little filming
Oh,
thing for the intro. And
yeah.
I'm thinking like, okay, so I made the props and I made the costume and everything. But now
Yeah.
like then we're gonna go swing a rope into the lake. So like
Like like that's it. Like you
like
get
that stuff's
one
done.
take and
So you have a costume just for
yeah,
like
swinging him into the lake. Yeah.
and then when he gets on the plane, it's like totally dry.
Yeah.
That scene where he's like in the plane with the snake, completely
Why
dry.
there's like yeah.
I know.
uh, uh, that part with Sala, this part was my background. He goes,
Hmm.
"Why does the ground move?" And then he goes, "Give me your torch," and he throws it down. He goes, "Oh, snakes! Why did it have to be snakes?" He goes, "Asps, better dangerous. You go first."
And then even when Indy's down there and he's like, "All right, come on down," he goes, "Me?
Me?
No." Oh man.
uh, I don't know if you can find it. I mean, well, I know you can find it, but it is a it is a half wink, and you miss it
Hmm.
when they put the poles on their thing, and they're just about to lift the arc out on one of
Hmm.
the posts right next to Harrison, like right here. I mean, and it is a half of a frame is hieroglyphics of R2D2 and C3PO.
Hmm.
It's like
I've seen
you
people
could
talk about
barely.
that before.
Yeah, yeah. It's like right it cuts and then you see it.
Just like behind you there, that's the hieroglyphic behind you is actually Indy in the poster.
Oh yeah. And I think too the cool thing was is the bazooka scene where
Yeah,
he's
I
like
love
got
that
the
scene.
bazooka and he that's where Obi-Wan meets Luke when Luke's looking
Oh,
for R2. It's the same
same.
filming location.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
You can totally see it. Once you know it and you're looking at it, it's like it's so obvious that
So
that's
very
where
good.
like Mark Hamill and all of them were. Yeah, exactly. Well, do what you
That's
want
cool.
you to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, yeah, I don't what was the other thing I was thinking was like there's a couple scenes for me that I was kind of like not like pulled out of the movie, but I was kind of like confused for a little bit. Like
Okay.
so Indy goes first of all that the scene where Indy's in there with the staff with the light on that like little
Yeah.
miniature of the city, like that to me, that stuff is like I love that stuff. Like
Oh yeah.
miniatures, like first of all, miniatures of like cities, and then
Yeah.
like the people who built this, they built this so that you could get the location for the map by having like the staff and the light and the sunlight, and they figured out the engine like engineered like that, like
Yeah.
real world map.
Like
I
the
love it.
way it,
I love that stuff.
yeah.
But he's down there, and then
Yeah. I
Salah
love
he gets
oh
like
go ahead, go
yelled
ahead.
at by like the Germans to like leave out of
Yeah.
that area, and he just kind of like goes away, like they're just kind of like fine with him. Just they're basically like, hey,
Yeah.
you can't be over there, and he's
But
got
he
like
kind
all
of
this
falls
rope.
down the hill. Yeah.
He's got like all this rope, like he's just so he gets away, and then he's running around, and the next time you see him, he's going like in and out of like tents,
Yeah.
and you're like, what is he doing? Like I don't understand what he's doing. So then you're expecting like Indy to be like, okay, pull me out, and like he's not going to be there. And then he throws
Oh,
down
right,
like sheets with like the Nazi flag, and then
right,
still in your brain you're like, okay, so like you like the Nazis know he's down there, like they're giving him a message, like yeah, we're
right,
here, we
right.
know you. But it's not. It's just like he went around the campsite and got all these
He just got
like
stuff to tie up. Yeah,
things to tie together because like he doesn't have his rope anymore. I was like, well, that's kind of
yeah,
weird.
yeah. I think it was. It might have been something that Steven wanted to do to kind of like make fun of the Nazi flag, like use it in a kind of like a dirty
Yeah.
way. But it also could have just been like he was like, well, wouldn't it be really obvious that nobody should be over here at the Well of Souls? So like
Just like
obviously guards are gonna be like, why like you don't why are you standing over here? Like go back to work, type of thing.
just like the end when they come out and like everybody's done digging for the day and there's 60 people up here bringing this stuff out of this. Like,
He's like,
hmm.
that doesn't seem right. Yeah. Yeah.
um I really love how they did like disguises and like infiltrate into like with everybody and all the workers
Oh
and stuff.
yeah. You want water? I'll get you water. You want
And you can
water?
see them, and that's what's
Yeah.
cool is like you can see them. Like even when there's like scenes of like the bad guys like walking and talking, you can see like Salal like cut through and like kind of put his
Yeah.
thing over, and he like walks
Yeah.
right through the frame of the camera. Like that's so I love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And
is really
then
cool.
the ending to me too is like I don't know,
It gets crazy. It gets crazy again.
but it's not even that to me. It's so yes, it gets the end gets nuts, but what I don't understand is like why they go. Maybe I might have missed it. I might have just uh but like the why do they go to that separate island to like go all the way into this cave to like open the ark? Like
Yeah.
why do they do why don't they just go back to Holland or Germany or
I don't
where I
know.
can't remember where they were going. They were going somewhere, and there's like one line where
They were going to
the other
Germany. Yeah.
guy, I forget his name, the architect, the bad archaeologist guy,
So Belloc, yeah.
Belek, yeah, and he goes, yeah, you don't want to give it to Hitler without knowing what's in it, right? Like,
Right.
what if you
Right.
get there and there's just sand in it? So like, all
Right.
right, so then they take a detour from there. Like I didn't understand that. And then it's not like they
I
just
think
like open it on the boat. They go like miles
yeah.
into this island.
I think I mean I agree with you. It is weird that they go like very far into the island with it, but I think I think either the thing we're supposed to think or they did say it and I also missed it was like it was a place where they could like dock because clearly like the Nazis claimed the island, like right they owned this island,
Right.
and I thought it was a place where like oh we're refueling and while we're refueling and doing stuff like we're also going to do this, so it didn't look weird that they were like not going straight to Germany after finding the Ark, like
Yeah.
to not make like Hitler and others like upset. That's kind of what I
It's
assumed
interesting
was happening,
because they could
but
have
I
opened it
don't.
right in Cairo too. Like,
Yeah, yeah, immediately, right? But no.
so I don't know. I mean, that all that scene does is gives like Indy a chance to like get. First of all, how lucky is he that he got on the back of a submarine and they didn't go underwater?
Underwater.
And
Yeah.
doesn't the submarine captain look like Harrison Ford when you first see him?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
I was like, oh man, he snuck
I
on
know
board. That's
exactly.
and then I was
I was
like, oh
like,
wait.
what?
And then everybody on cruise like, oh, there he is. He's swimming on. He's and they're like, yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah.
I do like that part a lot. Yeah, when I do. He's right there. Whatever. Yeah, I like that part
Dun, 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 dun.
a lot. He's like, when
And
he
he climbs
slips
up to
in,
the
and then
top, and then the submarine like just stays above water. Well, that's lucky. I mean, that's pretty lucky.
I guess too. The thing I was reading about is like a lot of that was just like they built all that stuff.
Hmm.
They didn't have like a submarine, and it's crazy.
It's just a boat built to look like the top of a submarine.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of
And
extras in
like,
this movie too.
Oh, so many. And the thing, honestly, how like everybody garbages out and like I don't know. There was a time period where they were like, "Oh, why is it always got to be this type of people when this should be happening?
Oh yeah.
When they go to this country, you should see these type of people." You know how they always do that, and I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that. Like both movies were like, "Nope, we're going to whatever country, and it's all the people from that area, and there are hundreds of them." Like
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Now I don't
Well,
know
that's
how
still.
well they were treated. I'm not going to speak to that, but I
Oh
like the
no,
fact that they,
terrible. I'm sure.
you know, I mean in like pay of being extras and all that stuff. I
I
don't
don't
know
think
how the
any of them.
'80s. Probably not. But
But that's still a thing. I mean, so like if you're an archaeologist and you go to Cairo today, like that's how it is. Like
right,
all the people that live in Egypt in that area, they're all like they all work and help. Like they get paid to like help the people
I
like
just
dig.
like that part. Like when you said it, made me think about what's he do? Does he bump into him or something? He bumps into like shop owners and they like chase him, they, like chase Indiana as he's like
Yeah.
running through the city. They're like, "Hey, you knocked over my stand," and they chase him like really far into the city.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah,
too. But I do like the end part there where they take the ark in the truck and they drive away, and then you see Indy come through like on the horse, and all the locals are like
uh,
happy that like
yeah,
you know.
they know. Yeah, they know. Yeah,
But yeah, the thing. Even when I first saw this movie as a kid, I always, what's the thing after this movie that you always want to know?
what
What
else is in
is in
the
the warehouse?
warehouse? Yeah, I like that you and I both do. Yeah, I'm always like, what else is in the warehouse? Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I mean, that's what's in four.
They go back to it, right? That's where they get
Yeah,
the.
that's where he gets like arrested or whatever, stopped by the KGB there.
Isn't there
So
a
he
reference
gets
to? Don't they actually show like the crate
they show the
with
arc.
the number? Yeah,
They
they
show the
show
full. They
they
show
show
like
the
a
arc.
corner of the arc. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I was looking in the background to see if there was any like spaceships, or
Anything really.
if this was a Lucas movie, he would have
Oh
already like
gosh.
redone it 4 times and put like flying
Oh,
saucers in the background.
wow. Things crossing in front of the screen. Well, that
Yeah.
guy's got to. The guy pushing that cart, he's got to make some sort of crazy noise or something.
Hmm.
My original vision was that this he could fly.
He was supposed to be an alien.
Okay, George, whatever you want,
Like,
man.
oh, really,
Whatever you
George?
want.
Oh, you want him to be an alien? That's weird.
That's strange, but
That was
okay.
supposed to be Chewbacca.
Yeah,
Hmm. But
it's
so
pretty.
here's a cool
Yeah,
attention detail too that I really like is that like Indy and Sala, they did not touch the ark. They
yeah,
never put
yeah,
their hands on it.
yeah. And also, like, even I mean, we don't. Nobody likes the Nazis, but even like they covered it so there was no like temptation to touch it and stuff.
Right.
It's funny how you say that because it's like for somebody who really didn't like how Indiana's like what a bunch of nonsense it
Yeah.
is about the Bible and all that stuff, and then they get to that part and they're like, well, no, you don't touch it, you
I think it's
don't
one of
put
those
your hands
things,
on
right,
it.
where it's like implied, like, yeah, it's a piece of history, but then like when you see it, like when you put your eyes on it, you're like, okay, there's something about this that is like, I'm gonna maybe be a little bit more cautious.
Yeah. Do you remember the MythBusters when they
Yeah.
make it
Oh
in
yeah.
MythBusters and then Adam doesn't know it's like electrical charge and he touches it. He
Yeah.
said for a split second he was like, oh wait, like am
He
I
he
being
got he got like super mad too. I remember in that episode
yeah, yeah,
because they
he
put
did, yeah,
like a ton of voltage in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was funny but also not funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty it's man, I there's so much about it that like Adrian and I were talking about it. It's like you can like if Temple was the first movie, you would just be like, it's fine. And
Hmm.
Indiana's cool and it's fine. But like watching this movie, you're like, oh, I understand why there's a lot of Indiana Jones movies. Like you get
Yeah.
it.
You
There's
understand why
something more
this is the
about it.
first one Spielberg made,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was her
Um,
thought? She liked this one a lot more.
oh, tremendously more.
Yeah.
Tremendously more. She really didn't like the Temple one.
You know what's funny too is like when we watched Temple, we were talking about like how dark it is, like how much
Yeah.
darker it was. But honestly, like they in
There's
this
some
movie they
yeah.
show a lot of like blood and like
Yeah.
mummies, like
Yeah.
decaying corpses and
Yeah.
stuff.
It's rough. Yeah, it's
I was
rough.
like, man, that's a there's a lot in this movie.
I mean, right in the beginning of the movie, that guy gets hit with the spikes, and it's like they don't. It's not like ooh. It's like no. Let's hold on it for. Let's keep on this for a second. Yeah,
So bad that he didn't even look like Dr. Octavius anymore.
not yeah,
It
yeah,
looked pretty rough, didn't it? Like
yeah. Oh yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
who is that? Oh, that's okay.
Oh, it's
Oh, that's right. 4K television.
yeah. Oh yeah. Um, but yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, since I can segue into it, that was the
My favorite
they
part.
didn't want to get it. They didn't want they didn't want to get a rated R movie rating because of that last sequence with the arc. It's
Oh yeah.
pretty it's
Yeah.
pretty it's pretty intense. Right. So so what they had I mean,
It's
yeah.
pretty rough.
So what they
So
had
they could
to
only
do
do
was
two people
they
like
put
that.
that wall of fire, like effect that's like on the screen
Yeah.
when Belloc's head explodes. That was what
Oh
it
yeah.
was.
Oh
The
yeah.
the censors were like, "Yeah, you can have this. This is fine, but it's rated R." And they were like, "Well, we don't want it rated R." And they were just like, "Well,
Like,
this
well
guy's
then you
head
should make
explodes,
heads explode.
pretty much." And then so they just went in editing and just put this huge wall of fire so you could bear. I mean, you could see
You
it, but
see
it's
it.
very heavily edited
Yeah,
and like,
I used the same fire effect for when we were tied
oh
up in the
yeah,
base.
yeah,
That's really funny. Yeah, that's really
it's pretty
funny.
cool. And I just learned the other night too that like the stuff that is flying around in that scene are like pieces of cloth in a fish in a
Mm.
fishing tank, and then all the like the wispy
Oh,
stuff, and then the woman, the face of the woman is an actual. She's in makeup and she has like she's behind a thing and she's on like a pendulum swing thing,
hmm.
and so she's done in makeup. She has like ribbons and all this stuff because there's no like it's not CGI. You can't like they're not doing that.
That's wow.
So they swing it at the camera. They're swinging her back and forth, and then they do it in reverse. So you get like that wispy, like
Hmm.
air doesn't like gravity, kind of doesn't matter. It's stuff like that. And then they just paint the skull, scary skull thing in.
That's
It's
fascinating.
it,
Yeah, you're
it's
right because
it's
I don't
yeah.
even
It's
think about there not being like
no, you don't.
CGI at that time period.
Right, and the same thing, like when the guy's putting away the box at the end of the movie, you think, oh, okay, but it's a matte paint, it's a painting of it,
Yeah,
and then it's literally just this much is filmed of him like pushing a crate down the thing, and then the rest of it is just a painting.
they paint it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, that's what's really cool about this movie too is
Yeah.
just how much like practical and like there isn't really computer generated images,
Yeah,
and
you really forget about that.
you do because it's really
Not
good. I
till
mean, it's
Jurassic
quite
Park came out a few years later did that like revolutionize like
yeah.
CGI.
Well, so here's the terrible thing that I learned.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Oh God.
Super Mario Brothers that we watched,
Yeah.
'93.
Oh yeah.
You see that
No.
with So Corridor Crew did a review of it.
Oh, haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so they did a review of it and they looked at it from the CGI perspective of it. And he breaks it down, the what's his name? Nico. He
Yeah,
breaks it
Nico.
down that pretty much you had ILM, which is
Yeah.
all this stuff, Star Wars, Indiana, all this
Hmm.
stuff. And then
Yeah.
yeah, Industrial Lights and Magic.
Yeah.
And then you have everybody who's not part of ILM,
Hmm.
that all of the software, programming, special effects, all of the techniques that they use now in modern day all came from Super Mario.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Because it does. I was just like, and so he was like, I get it's a terrible movie, but it's really like
You're
like the
revolutionized. Yeah.
father of like modern uh video. What do you call it? Like, because then when they were showing clips, I was like, you know what? To be honest, like the visual
Yeah.
components of them like disintegrating, that like disintegrating effect and stuff. I mean, it's
I
kind of
didn't have a
before its
problem with any of
time.
that stuff.
Yeah, you're
None of
right.
the visual stuff
Hey,
was
true,
an issue in that movie. Like none of it.
true. Yeah,
It was everything else.
everything.
Have you heard like Leguizamo? He's like hates
Like
Chris
pushing
Pratt
for it.
being, yeah.
Oh no, I haven't. No.
He's like not a he said like Chris Pratt being the voice man was like unfortunate, and it's like, what are you talking
Well,
about?
who knows?
Like I hate to tell you, but he didn't go on to do anything better after Mario.
Yeah, sadly.
What was that Day of the Dead he was in? It was an awful movie.
Yeah,
One of those, I can't even remember. One of the Ramiro movies was
who knows?
terrible, terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what are those
but
things at the end? Are they supposed to be like angels?
I don't know.
Or are they
I
just supposed to
really
be
have no
like
idea.
God's wrath or like power or something? Like the
The
beam of
whole
light obviously is like Holy Spirit.
yeah, we get that this is like a an act of God by going in their eyeballs and melting the cameras and everything like like all that stuff, people melting. Like we get that something else is happening here, but I don't know. I don't know what that other stuff is supposed to indicate. I'm sure Steven knows what he was intending with it, but I
They're aliens.
no, they're all aliens. They were
Even
phasers
you're gonna want to add a few aliens. Just trust me.
yeah. This was phasers. It was all phasers coming out of it, and they were shooting each other, and it was melting. Yeah, yeah.
You know
It
what's
was like
funny too?
lightsabers.
It's funny too. Is this yet again is another movie where Harrison Ford shoots first?
Certainly does. Now, wasn't isn't the story with that he had like a terrible fever that day? Right? Isn't it like
Yes,
the story? He
he
was like
was.
really
I
sick.
I think he got like food poisoning or water poisoning from like being
Oh
over
yeah,
there,
okay.
or
Yeah.
malaria. It might have been malaria, honestly, from the mosquitoes. I can't
Gosh.
remember. And he was
And
just like, I'm not. I gotta fight Goldberg at the end.
yeah,
I'm not.
yeah. I mean, it was just like, let me just do this to get through this scene quick, and everybody was like, "That's it, we're keeping that one."
It's so like it. It's so.
And the funny thing is like you think, I don't know, I don't remember how many years between this and Temple there was, but it obviously must have been something that either Steven liked a lot or had already reached like the public eye because he references it in Temple.
Mhm.
He reached the guy's come up with the swords and he reaches for his gun and he doesn't have it and he's like, oh, and then he runs away.
Yeah,
And
like this is
it's
something implies that like Indy does this all the time when there's like
like
a
all
big
the
dude.
time. And it's funny because like nowadays like everyone talks about it and everybody laughs about it. It's like a huge
It's
memorable
weird.
scene, but like for be the next movie to immediately reference something like that, it's either like Steven understands what's funny, which he does obviously, but it's like it's just it's interesting that of all the things that call back from Raiders, like that's the thing that he calls back.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's interesting. It's interesting. And we got another Wilhelm scream.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So
Oh
I I watched a little bit ago that like so that Wilhelm guy, like he's the sound producer.
yeah,
and he puts that scream in like every product that he like works on.
Anything he get, yeah, anything,
But
yeah.
he plays an extra in, man, is it New Hope? It might be
It
New
might be
Hope.
New Hope. It's either New Hope or Return of the Jedi.
He plays like an extra. I might be Return of the Jedi because I think it's a Death Star trooper.
Okay.
So he plays one of those like troopers or like,
Yeah.
and he falls off the back of the railing and he does his own like interpretation of his own like Wilhelm scream,
Yeah.
and it's pretty
Ooh.
close. Oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah, that's
It's
pretty
so
cool.
funny that that's in so much of so many
Well,
things.
that just shows you how many movies that guy's worked on, done like sound producing.
Yeah.
Tons of Spielberg movies, tons of Lucasfilm, tons of like all that stuff.
It's so
But
funny to me.
you know what the other thing that like to me like sells like indie, like if you think about indie, what the other thing that I always think about is like the punch sound effect.
Oh
The like
yes.
very much
Like,
like
yeah.
punching like a head of lettuce or a head of cabbage or something,
Yeah.
like whatever it is.
That crunching like pop noise that it comes with it. Yeah.
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 But it is funny too,
Especially in the
like
airplane fight. Yeah. The
yeah,
airplane fight.
he has
A
that
lot of
over and
it. A
over.
lot of, I mean, a lot of it's like smashing them. Yeah.
I like when he goes up to get the pilot like the second time and the big
Oh,
dude like yells at him and he's like, kidding. Like, he's got to like crawl off the plane.
yeah. He's like, okay, hold just hold on a second. He's like, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Punches
There's
him
a lot of
around.
there's a lot of fight scenes too. Like I noticed, like you can see very much like they're like missing like hits and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Like it's pretty obvious in some, like especially like
Yeah.
the marketplace fights and stuff.
Yeah.
Harrison just kind of does like a full swing, like not
Yeah.
even next to anybody.
Like there's a couple scenes, like in that scene when they first jump him and so Marion like takes like a thing and then she's just like, it's like patting the guy she hit on the
Oh
head with
yeah.
it. Like, and then it's like somebody else comes up and then she's like, smack. And then smack, smack. Like she doesn't know what
She
to do because like
she's
they're
saving like
choreographed.
time in between
Yeah.
choreography. Yeah. That's what people always, that's like the one thing people always break down, even like good choreography.
Yeah.
Most recent, like I can well, that's not good choreography, but like most recently I can remember like Ray and Ben
Oh,
like
Kylo.
fighting those
Yeah.
troopers. Two people with lightsabers and they're fighting and like 10, even if there's like 10 guards or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like they all just kind of like wait their turn to like
Yeah.
step in. Like the one guy gets beat up and the other guy steps in to fight. It's like, dude, it's a group. It's a group fight. Everybody
Right.
would just,
You would just get in there
they just
and
stand there.
yeah.
They just stand there with their spear. They get ready. Then that guy
Yeah.
falls down. Then like, okay, here we go. And this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do it fast, looks great.
Yeah. No
If you
big
do it
deal.
slow, doesn't look so good.
That's why Jackie Chan was he would take forever to shoot because he was like, if it doesn't look good and if you don't come fast, like don't just we're gonna reset because it doesn't look good.
Jackie
And
Chan took
also
forever
like
to
hit.
shoot because most of the time his foot or hand or like leg was broken.
Yeah, true. He was
Remember
like,
the time
okay, listen.
he broke his foot, got a cast, and then like drew on the cast to look like his shoe and like
Shoot.
finished like crazy.
He was like, yeah, I think I can make this look like my shoe. Let's do it.
He just drew a Nike swoosh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because like I don't know, it's that type of stuff. It's hilarious to me that like he just I don't know. He didn't care. Didn't care how long it took, how many takes it took. We're gonna keep doing it until it's right.
Yeah, and you can tell. I mean, his
Makes
movies
the
still
movies good.
hold up.
Yep. I mean, they still talk about him jumping off of things and leaping through things.
It's
Yeah,
everything. Everybody makes a comparison like him and Bruce. Like Bruce Lee was great. Don't get me wrong, but there's just
yeah,
something about Jackie to me that's always been better.
yeah. I think some of it is like as Bruce got more popular, he got a little more kind of like pompous, and not
Well,
not
Bruce
that
was kind
Jackie
of,
isn't,
yeah.
but But yeah,
Bruce Lee is like his whole lifestyle was like martial arts, fitness,
yeah,
eating like healthy. Jackie Chan was just like the fun, cool guy that like could do cool
yeah,
stunts.
yeah. Let's make it fun. Let's make it interesting. Yeah, yeah, it's
He
true.
always looks like he's having a good time.
Yeah, trying to when whatever bones are getting shattered. But yeah, I don't know. I at the end of the day, I was like, it's funny to watch them in this order because you know, like if we had watched this and then you'd be like, man, Indiana's so cool. I'm glad we're doing this. This is fun. I enjoy it. Then we go to
Oh,
Temple and be like, I don't know. It's just kind of not as interesting.
yeah. We'll feel like that in a little bit, I'm sure.
And wouldn't it be? Wouldn't I think I said it in the last video. I can't wait for us to go and watch Crystal Skull, and then we're just like, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, I actually liked it.
I mean, honestly, the thing I still laugh about is like when you and I went back and we watched the Jurassic Parks. I actually went back like a week or two ago and like went back specifically to our Lost World
Hmm.
thing, and I was just like, for years after I'd seen the movie, didn't care for it, and then for years I was just like, yeah, what a garbage movie, what a trash movie, and then I really hated it. I
A
really
lot
didn't
of
like
people
it.
feel that way. A lot of people felt that way.
And then Jurassic World came out, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's fine. And then we went back and watched it, and I was just like, yeah, it's weird stuff happens in it, like sure, but overall, I was like, this is really not that terrible.
No, no, and fun and funny enough, like retrospectively, the Jurassic Parks I hate the most are like Dominion
Oh yeah,
and what was the second one?
Fallen Kingdom.
Yes. Those are the two I won't go back and watch those.
Yeah,
They don't do
yeah,
anything for me, really.
not really, no.
It's I feel like the podcast makes it better for us, like initially, which is kind of like when I'm worried about this Indiana Jones movie because like you go back from the beginning and you watch all of them leading up to the new one, and you're like, oh, it's fun, it's new, it's in theaters, it's
Right.
and you're like, yeah, it was pretty cool, you know. But like now thinking about like Dominion, like I don't care about like I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a thing where we get pumped for it, we get psyched for it, we go to watch it, and we're like, cool, and we like it because it's like we're all the material that they're referencing in Dominion.
Mhm.
It's like fresh in our head because we literally were just watching it. So it's
Yeah,
like,
right.
man, that's a cool callback, and I'm happy for that callback. I'm happy for that callback. But then when you take a step back and then like just look at it as like a standalone movie, and you're not don't worry about what they're
Yeah.
referencing or what they're calling in. You're like, well, it's okay, like it's fine, but I like these other ones more. And I think it's gonna be the same thing. I think we'll see the new Indiana and we'll be like, I think we'll like it more than Crystal Skull, but I don't think it'll be like, oh man, this was amazing, you know.
Yeah, right. I don't think it'll be amazing, but I don't think we'll hate it. Yeah, I know. I am interested to see. I've seen
I
Crystal a
think
few
they'll learn
times.
from their Crystal Skull. Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where you hate to say it because like Spielberg is the reason that we have Indy
Hmm.
and Lucas is the reason that we have Star Wars, but at the end of the day, like it seems like
Yeah.
the fans and the people who like know like almost fans know the material more. So
Yeah.
like Dave Filoni behind Star Wars now to
Hmm.
me is like I don't worry about
Yeah.
it. And this like new
True.
indie movie like it's not Steven maybe
That's
makes it
true.
good. Like
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
You almost
true.
hate saying that because it's like
Yeah. I know.
uh,
I know what you mean.
sometimes I do think
Yeah.
the fans understand
Well,
more. They get like more in depth with like the character.
I mean, as time goes on, I mean, you'll see it. I mean, again, this is a very what do you want to say? Not unpopular, but like a very like, ooh, you don't say that. Kind of like you don't really talk bad about Walt Disney the man because it's like, look at all the cool stuff he
Well,
did.
that's a different reason that you don't talk bad about Disney.
But but
You're talking about
is
actual Walter Disney.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, because everything he stood for was like great. Well, I don't know
right.
if everything
Well,
was,
right,
but like his idea for like
right.
bringing families together for the parks and stuff.
Correct.
It's it's very money hungry corporation now. But when
Right.
he was in charge of it, it was wanted everybody
Exactly.
to have an escape.
And it's the same that like I think you're gonna see too is like when we eventually get into like more Star Trek is like when you watch the Kirk stuff and then you watch like the first two seasons of Next Generation when he was still alive and like the first five movies, I think the first five Kirk movies, like
Hmm.
Gene Roddenberry is alive and he's involved and he's this is his baby. Like this is he's taking care of this. And it's fine. It's like, yep, it's Star Trek, and it is what this man wanted. This is his vision. Like, okay, just like George Lucas, you're like,
Mhm.
yep, I'm on the ride. I get it, buddy. This is your creation. I'm behind it. But then he passes away, and also like George Lucas passes the mantle, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're like, hmm, it's like I see what Star Wars and Star Trek should have been this whole time. And that's what's crazy about it is like Gene Roddenberry passed away, and then suddenly like Star Trek became like pretty awesome,
Hmm.
and it got a lot more interesting, and the stories are a lot more compelling and a lot more
Yeah.
like I want to know what's happening, and not that he was a bad person or like an idiot by any stretch of the means. It just is like it's like almost like they can't see out of their own way. So I think to your point, it's like you get nervous like the older Steven Spielberg gets, it's like you might be hurting yourself here, buddy, and shooting yourself in the foot. It's like rather than trying to do something cool with like filming, like well, I want to use an IMAX camera,
Yeah.
or oh, I
Right.
want to make sure that this thing is happening. They sometimes forget that like something, the story or the action beats or the something is like more important here than the
Yeah.
shot essentially.
I know, and the only reason that like I feel that way about Steven and George is because of like so Crystal Skull for one
Yeah,
it is it's like he doesn't understand the universe, like the indie universe
yeah,
or that character anymore, and that's kind of how I felt from that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then just I mean just how George like I mean the fact that you can't even find like an original like copy of New Hope anymore is to
yeah,
me it's like sad because like every year he went through and redid something or added some new creature or some special effect and then even with like the direction of like the newer like stuff it's
yeah.
just not good, like it's just not good.
No,
It's not Star Wars, it doesn't fit in the universe, it's all
no,
doesn't follow any of the rules or laws of what he created. It's just so weird to me. It's like you don't understand
your own property.
your own
Yeah,
universe. Like you wrote the rules and now you're not following them. But I mean that all
yeah,
comes down to like the directors he hires and it's just,
yeah.
so
I mean, you and I both understand too. Like, there is the other debate is too is like, back then when you make something, you don't have the money for it, so you just do what you can, and then all of a sudden now you have the money. Well, now I can actually go and do what I actually want to do. And it's like
I
I
know
get it, but at the same
I
time,
do get
like,
that. I struggle with that. There
but
was a there was a comic that I was working on a long time ago and I would start off, you know, like drawing and then like the more and more that you like draw a comic and your characters, the more you like get better at drawing them. So I'd get all the way
right,
to like issue 20 and I'd be like, I got to go back and redraw it from the beginning because like it just looks so much different. And I
yeah,
just would like do it and I would just burn myself out
oh,
because you just redrawing the same crap all the time, and then changing the story, you're editing things like on the fly. And then it's just
yeah.
sometimes you got to
You're like,
just,
oh, well, I need to go back and make sure he has this in his pocket because
it's just, yeah.
I
And
he yeah,
continuity to me is always
right,
like super important.
yeah,
And it's like sometimes it's very important, as a in a creating sense, like just start. If you have an idea, just start.
Yeah.
and just put it out there and take feedback, take, whatever, and just keep going. Like just keep going
Yeah. Just
because
keep forging.
if you
Yeah.
stop and go back to like 4 years ago, it's like
Yeah.
something like even like for me, something I built like 3, 4 years ago. Like, yeah, I could build it better now, obviously. Like I have more,
Right.
I've learned more, I've gained more skills. I'm better at painting. I better at, working with
Yeah.
this material or this material. It's like just just go forward, man. You gotta just you gotta just go
Yeah. You
forward.
have to. No, you have to.
So again, that's kind of how I feel going back to like it's been like Crystal Skull came out, super long stretch between Last Crusade,
Oh yeah.
super long. You're like, okay, it wasn't very well received, whatever.
No.
And now it's been another what, 10, 9, 8 years.
Gotta be. Gotta be. No longer than that, but yeah, 10 plus.
And it's like, okay, let's do another indie movie. Why?
Yeah.
Like Harrison Ford's not any younger. Like, what's the point now?
Yeah.
Like,
What are we doing?
just
Yeah.
let it be, hire somebody and do a comic series, do a
Yeah.
book series. I mean, if you want to keep the character, I get it. Like, I love indie. Do something
Yeah.
else, man. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
It's the
that's just my opinion, which means nothing. So,
well, I think a lot of it is the same thing that's happening with like Star Trek Picard and some other stuff. I think what people want is like, okay, you have these really
yeah,
respected characters and figures and actors, right? And they're in probably a decade they're going to die, if and
yeah.
probably less.
But even
And
now, they're
they're
like
like,
nutsy.
okay, right. And I think that the people are like, okay, we have this actor is alive, and this thing that they're a part of makes a lot of money, whatever it is, X-Men, Star Trek, Indiana
Yeah,
Jones, it doesn't matter. They're
X-Men. Yeah,
It's like, okay, what can we do? How do we get them in here? Well, we want to do this. And then you look at it from the other angle is like certain movies, especially with Indiana Jones, like Crystal Skull really didn't give Indiana Jones a good send off,
no,
and the fans didn't like it. Audiences generally didn't like it. And it ends in a way where it's like, okay, get ready for the next adventure, right? Because whatever his name is, Chowder there goes to
Shiloh
pick up the house, whatever his
Shiloh
name is.
Buff is gonna be Indy Junior.
He goes to pick up the hat, right? And then it's like, nope, no, Indiana picks up the hat because I'm not, it's I got one last one in me type of thing. And you're like, that's the ending. So you don't get an ending to his story. You just get like he's on his next adventure story. And then
Yeah,
you're like, okay, well, I want to see what that is because this was terrible, and I get it to a degree, like a financial thing and a story, and like people who actually. My hope is that the person who wrote and directed this upcoming film like paid attention to those things and are going to actually properly give Indiana Jones a good send off. Doesn't mean he's gonna die, just a good
mhm.
a good ending to his story.
Yeah. They gave Bond a good send off.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost like these characters, though. It's like you don't want them to just like retire
No.
because that's almost more depressing, I think, to think about. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Indy's too old to be doing what he loves, so he's just, home. I'd rather,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see
We'll
once we
see.
get to.
We'll see. So
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
so with this, like ended a lot. I like this a lot more, and it definitely put me in the mood to see number three because
Hmm.
when I saw number two, when I saw Temple, I was like, whew, I was like, all right, I don't think I'm going to have as much of an issue with Raiders, but I don't know. Who knows? And then I saw this, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, okay, yeah,
Yeah. Right. Right.
I'm not wrong.
Like, oh, right. I forgot this was a great movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And Last Crusade, I think, is probably like my one of my favorite. This and the next one, it's like it's hard to pick which one.
yeah. I think I think we're both going to be pleasantly surprised because it's been a while since I've seen Last Crusade and Raiders. I think we're both going to go to watch it, and I think we're going to be like, all the stuff we love about Indiana Jones is going to be in that movie. I think the reason why we're like,
Yeah.
oh man, Indiana Jones is the man and he's cool. I think it's going to be that movie. This movie is great. Don't get me wrong. Like it has all the good things. And number three wouldn't be what it is without this movie. But
Right.
I think all the stuff, all the laughter, all the fun, all the like stuff that we enjoy about Indiana Jones, I think it's going to be. We're going to find it like it's number three.
It's just to me, it's just the chemistry between him and his dad. It's just
Oh
such a
man,
great,
it's fantastic.
it's just such a great like partnership.
Yeah,
It's like him in Short Round.
yeah, no, yeah,
It's they just have good chemistry.
they do. It's believable too. I think, and that's like the biggest part of it. So.
Oh yeah, like there's no like I don't say well that's not really Indy's dad. No, that's Indy's dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So well, I'm excited to watch that.
Me too.
Even though that brings us closer to Crystal Skull.
We're gonna be so ready for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I'm
are.
gonna be ready. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be just like Temple. You're gonna like, hey, wow, I watched Last Crusade. I really enjoyed it. We're gonna get into that, and then we're gonna go to Crystal, and you're like, I didn't watch it. I'll remember everything.
I did
I
Cliff Notes.
yeah,
I didn't even watch it. You take the lead on this one.
yeah.
That's not always rule of thumb.
No, 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 no,
If you watch an episode and Will is like in the beginning,
no.
he's taking the lead. It doesn't always mean I didn't do the research material, but it's usually a pretty good bet that.
Yeah, it's either that or I think a lot of it is too is like it's like you don't you just like it's typically when you really have no enthusiasm to immediately talk about it. You're like, will sell it. I'll make Will sell it. And then you cut
You know
to the
what it
page.
is too is it's like I throw myself in front of the camera like
Mm,
for everything else too. So I don't I
everything.
just I feel like I don't always have to be like, hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to another Nerd Holes. Like it's
Yeah,
not
it's not always
it's a
necessary. Yeah,
partnership. It's a partner
yeah,
cast. So I don't always want to be the Mike
yeah.
number one, you know what I mean?
I do.
So
I do.
yeah, but so next up for us is Guardians comes out pretty soon.
Guardians.
Finally getting back into some more Marvel.
Marvel. Yeah, finally.
Finally. Do you think so? Here's our predictions. If
Yeah.
you're watching this before, do you think
Okay.
you and I will be the only ones that like this Marvel movie?
No.
No. Okay, good. Because Arnold
I
Schwarzenegger
don't
already
think.
likes it.
Perfect. I don't think. I don't think this will be like Black Panther and Quantumania.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that.
I don't. I just don't think so. I honestly think that James Gunn writes a different type of movie than what the MCU has. Like all of his Marvel, like all of his Guardian movies are wildly different than what the
Yeah.
MCU like just kind of rapidly puts out.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. I mean, as much as like the holiday special thing was like okay, it wasn't like
Yeah.
great and it wasn't terrible,
Well, it
but
was entertaining for sure.
yeah, it was entertaining
I
exactly.
mean, Kevin Bacon was in it.
But yeah, but honestly, when you look at it, like it wasn't. It's not like you could be like, oh, it's very similar to this thing. Like, no, it isn't. It's like there's nothing like that on in the Marvel,
That's
and
what I
that's
love
what I
about
feel
it.
about number one. Yeah,
I really feel like you could take any Guardians movie, put it in like a time capsule, and just
yeah, oh yeah,
and be like, oh, this is great.
yeah,
I feel like Ragnarok is like that. Like Thor Ragnarok, you could just watch. Like I could watch that one over and over. Like it doesn't need to fit in anywhere. It's just like super fun.
Yeah, as a standalone, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
To me, it's like anything in the MCU that has to do with like space is always like more like crazy and entertaining,
true,
you know.
true.
I
Yeah,
don't know why. I don't know why it works out like that, but feels like anything on Earth is very like grounded,
yeah, very
right?
like
You go
rigid.
into
Yeah,
space and it's bright and it's lights and it's flashing and it's just crazy characters and it's just
yeah.
great. So, but and the thing I'm excited for is like they pretty much have like their original like uniforms in this movie.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The blue, the red, patch and stuff.
yeah. Which you know what happens.
Yeah,
You always know what happens when they get their like original comic,
yeah,
outfit.
yeah. They all die. Well, what's
What it
interesting
is.
too is it's kind of interesting to me too. Like in a way, like Gamora is a new character,
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is like, man. So you have it's the third movie in the series, and it's like this character brand new,
Brand new. Yeah,
and like Nebula is also like brand new.
pretty new. Yeah, yeah,
So that's kind of cool. It looks like they're gonna show
yeah.
more of like Rocket's like
Yeah, I
backstory,
think
which
that's where it's gonna deal with the most. So,
yeah,
which is fine to me. Honestly, you've gotten Star Lord's like story. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, you should.
There's more. The other guys have more of a story. I mean, honestly, I mean he's the next one besides Groot and maybe Drax a little bit. Like, you don't really know their backstory too much. At least the other ones,
No,
you kind of know what's going on with them, like where they came from, what they're doing, all that stuff.
yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good way. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, you just don't have their backstory really. You have like parts of
Yeah,
it, but not really.
no, I'm interested. I'm interested to see Rocket's background because, like,
Yeah,
he's from
same.
Earth.
Yeah, something at
It's
least.
a
I don't know.
it's a weird arc in the comic. I'll tell you that. His backstory.
Yeah, well, you never know. James Gunn uses a lot of comic stuff, so you almost wonder
It
where
is weird. So
he does like it. He does like the weird.
as long as Howard the Duck's not in it,
He's definitely in it. Absolutely, he's in it.
he's the main character. They just haven't shown up.
Oh yeah, I hope so. That's who's going to replace him. He's going to replace Rocket in the Guardian.
There's a uh, there's a Marvel movie we should go back and watch.
Old Howard the Duck. Oh man, I don't know about
It wasn't even
that.
Marvel.
That's a rough movie.
What the VHS box art doesn't show you all you need to know.
Hmm.
Oh man.
Hmm.
Yeah, so anyway, I hope to get this episode out before Guardians comes out. So
Yeah.
no, it won't be. If you're seeing this before Guardians, you are lucky.
Yeah.
There's just gonna be like underneath us, there's just gonna be like hand drawn pictures of like Indy.
It'll just be text.
Uh-huh.
Imagine this thing is happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that will cover Raiders of the Lost Ark.
The Lost Ark is no longer lost. It's been found,
It's been found, and
and
then
the
it's
Raiders are killed.
they are killed, and the Ark is now official property of the U.S. What's the number? Do you remember off the top of your head? Can you remember the number?
No, no
It's
idea.
like 996. I don't know. I'm pulling it out of nowhere.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I do like when the swastika catches on fire on the box. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's a cool part. Yeah.
The other thing, I was like halfway through the movie, I was like, I haven't seen a lot of swastikas.
True.
Like their uniforms specifically, I don't like.
Yeah,
Normal. The uniforms are like nothing but. But you really
yeah,
only saw it on like flags and stuff to like. So they're like, okay, this
Yeah,
is like we're not just using swastikas to use them. Like this is their,
yeah.
and they never say Hitler.
No, just fewer. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Anyway, that was just something I noticed. And I forgot to talk about it.
What? Yeah.
So now that we talked about swastikas, we can officially wrap it up.
Wow. You can't help it. You can't.
Oh yeah, I forgot this was a running theme with me.
You're
It's
gonna
really I'm
totally. I know.
not even
I know.
I'm trying.
I
I'm
know. I
trying.
know. Some of our viewers are gonna be like, "Is he though?"
I think something's up with this dude. Yeah. It's
Gosh.
just to me, it's just interesting in cinema, like
Oh yeah.
seeing that stuff because it's a part of history, and it's interesting that sometimes people like really really shy away from that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's rough because I mean, you don't that just that symbol, just the way it is with
Hmm.
the red and the white and the black. Like it's just it's really rough. It's
It's
really
rough,
rough.
yeah. Even even like the Russian, like the
Oh yeah,
sickles,
the sickle and the hammer.
like
Yeah.
that has been like kind of a logo that's kind of been eradicated.
Yep.
It's
Well, even
very
that
it's
too.
very
Like
interesting.
even in media, like when they show that and anything, everybody's like, "Oh, mm,
Right. That used to be a thing in, what Street Fighter? Yeah, where you'd pick USSR.
yeah, 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 yeah."
Yeah. It's just interesting to me, that's all. I don't have
No, it
like
is.
a tattoo or just,
No,
yeah.
you know, the guy in Taco Bell spraying it on the window. So yeah,
Oh yeah, you remember that? That was
I do, I do.
that was
Yeah, that was
only in
pretty
our
weird.
area would that happen. Yeah.
Only in our area.
He was like cleaning the window, right? With like
It was like
window
sprayed
cleaner
or
and he like
whatever. Yeah,
sprayed a oh wow. I don't know.
yeah.
He was one of
People
the
think
employees.
it's
It was not like he just
he was one of them. Yep.
Will and I beat him. We beat him up, don't worry.
Yeah, we took care of him. We made him into some chalupa. Yeah. We give him
Yeah.
some. We give him that some of that cabbage punch, and he went right through the glass.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well,
It's the only
that'll
way to
wrap
end
it
it.
up.
Yeah.
That'll wrap it up. So we will see you guys next time. I don't know what you'll see from us next time. Probably Guardians.
I like Guardians.
Probably Guardians. And then we'll be right back to your regularly scheduled Indiana Jones rewatch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably some Spider Man. Probably some Spider Man.
Oh yeah, I forgot that comes out. It's gonna be real busy. This summer's gonna be real busy.
Oh yeah, we're busy. We're busy. Busy boys.
All right. We will catch you guys through the next wormhole.
That's right. Like, comment, and subscribe.